The time has come for history to rewrite itself. The rights and wrongs of the Fumban Conference, of John Go Foncha, Estimona and Augustine Gumjoa. For politicians to shake hands while stepping on necks, chanting slogans like spell, unity and progress. But the people chant, we are tired. We are tired of lines with no ink, tired of cures for votes that don't count, tired of choosing between silence and bullets. Let them come. With their promises dressed in perfumes and lies, let them come. We were taught to praise the chains that choked us, taught that independence was a gift wrapped in empty ballot boxes. Our flags are stitched from wounds. Our anthems hum with hunger. A land that dances to the drumbeat of silence, where Anglophone children spell injustice before they know the alphabet. Where ballots sometimes vanish like truths in the wind, where promises fill the air like gas before an explosion. A land that even bees wears a camouflage uniform, and democracy is a whispered rumor, scared to speak its own name. The time has come again. Africa is not dying. Africa is being suffocated by her own sons who drink from the calabash of power, then piss on their own people. We are ruled by men who speak of God, while devouring their own children. And you ask us why we rage, why our mouths spit metaphors soaked in fire. Because we have seen dreams butchered in boardrooms, seen justice kidnapped for ransom, seen hope leashed at dawn. But still we stand, still we rise, still we spit truth into microphones like it's our only weapon. This is not just another election. This is not just about ink on fingers. This is not just about blood. This is about blood on pavements. About mothers whispering names of sons who disappeared before they could say change. We do not vote for names. We vote for the future we are willing to bleed for. We vote for classrooms instead of prisons. For leaders who do not run from questions. We vote so that our children can ask, what next? Instead of what happened. We will be waiting with our eyes open, with our tongues sharpened, and our spirits unshaken. We are wounded, yes. But this time, when the drums go silent, it will not be for mourning. It will be for listening. It will be for reckoning. It would be for rising.
C'est quoi, c'est ce que c'est ce que tu savais, et tu remontes. Arrête-moi, arrête-moi, on va non. T'es smart, mon king fenge, au sari maribo. Oh, c'est tout, je sais de où rapper. 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 Dans ton tiep, grand ago. Mukuba, Mate, Amechi, Pita, Eno, Ancien Treva, Wambeno, Murukwa, Aquaticaba, Eyon Atem, Wambeno, Aquaticaba, Arremoni, Wambeno, Wambeno, Aquaticaba, Etigenen Subadi, Wambeno, Murukwa,
Good afternoon, fellow Ambazonians. Good afternoon to another episode of, I believe it's still the War Zone on ABS TV. This Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2025. It's a pleasure having you again with me on ABS TV, where we continue to bring to you highlights of the struggle between the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon. Again, it's a pleasure having you here with me today. Of course, I'm Mike FUSI, your humble comrade, fighting for the liberation of the Southern Cameroons and Amazonia. Yes, I have quite a few things that we are going to discuss today. As you well know, there's a certain a charade happening in La Republic of Cameroon, and they call it an election. But we are going to look at the prerequisites of what it takes to for something like that to happen. What are the prerequisites for an effective practice of democracy? What needs to be in place for democracy to be practiced effectively? That's what I'm trying to say here. And of course, we're going to look at a few things that have happened within not only La Republic of Cameroon, but within the Southern Cameroons. There are some of our people who are behaving more like sheep. They are behaving like their brains have been taken out, and we're going to examine some of those things and puzzle. I want to invite you to puzzle with me what exactly is happening with these our own brothers and sisters who are behaving like brainless people. And of course, we also came across a video of the daughter of Mr. Paul. Even as our people are suffering and languishing in misery and poverty and poor infrastructure, a lack of healthcare and all that, she is out there squandering the resources that are mostly gotten from the Southern Cameroons. And we will see her doing exactly that. It's wasting the money that is stolen from our land on vainful activities. We will see Brenda Bia doing what her father has taught her to do very well. And of course, we have told our liberation fighters oftenly that the best way of sending a message to La Republic is to make it clear to them that nothing called elections are allowed within our territory, that we will not tolerate anything called elections organized by La Republic of Cameroon within our territory. And our Boyo fighters have delivered that very message that we've been talking about. And they've sent a message to La Republic of Cameroon, enablers who came trespassing within our territory in the name of campaigns. They sent them the message that they need to know that such activities are banned in Amazonia. You will see exactly what our brave warriors did to them, and some of them are now regretting why they made that mistake. Not to waste any much time, I would like to, if the studio can bring to us any of the images that emerged during the week in the northern zone of so-called elites. They call them so-called elites, engaging in a fundraiser to raise money for a ghost candidate called Paul, a candidate that is yet to be seen. But these people are out there raising money for his candidacy for president of La Republic of Cameroon. If the studio has that video or any images related to that story, we would like to see it, and you can see for yourself these people behaving like they've been hypnotized, disgracing themselves, pretending to be raising money for a candidate they cannot even set eyes on. They cannot even set their eyes on Paul Biya, and yet they are raising money for his supposed candidacy as president of La Republic of Cameroon. Not that is any of our problems, but these are our own brothers, and we expect them to be more reasonable. We expect them to be more sympathetic to the suffering of their own very people, their own brothers and sisters, that are being killed every day, they're being molested every day. Some are languishing in the dungeons of Cameroon. But these people are out there when people are lacking of basic necessities like potable water, healthcare, electricity, and you name the rest. But these people have the money to raise for a candidate that is yet to be seen in the name of supporting Paul Biya's candidacy. I don't know if we can find that, but even while that is going on, I think Chairman Patrick was supposed to join me here. I know he is very busy today, preoccupied with other work activities. I don't know if he's found time to jump in. If Chairman Patrick was able to join, I would like to see him, but I don't know if he's in yet. Chairman Patrick, are you there? Probably not. Probably not. Yes. So if the studio does not have the images of the charade that happened in the Northern Zone, in the name of raising funds for Mr. Paul Biya, I think we all saw the images out there. It is pathetic, people. It is pathetic. It is very sad to see some of us descending so low, behaving like slaves, to go out there and say you are raising money to support Paul Biya's candidacy, as if the money that this man has stolen over the years and stashed away, that he can't take some of the money and use for his campaign, if at all Paul Biya is aware that he is a candidate for any elections. Are you even sure that Paul Biya is aware that he's running for any elections? People are simply using his pictures, the cut out cardboard papers in the place of Mr. Paul Biya, and projecting these images out there and saying Mr. Paul Biya wants to be president. We are yet to see him. I've said it again. We are yet to see Paul Biya come out and say, "Here I am. I want you to vote for me as your next president again." We are yet to see that. Paul Biya is yet to declare himself that he wants to lead La Republic of Cameroon again. But there are people there just doing things on his behalf because they want to protect themselves and position themselves to do bad things in the name of Paul Biya. While Paul Biya is there, probably unconscious. That's what's happening. But since we don't have those images, what about the image of Brenda Biya, whatever her name is? Let's see her just misbehaving and using some of the money, whether she's taking drugs or she's drinking alcohol, whatever she's doing out there. And I want to ask these people who go out there raising money to give to Paul Biya for an election. That's the daughter squandering money out there. And you are pinching whatever little money you have to add to a pile of, who knows, a house full of money that Paul Biya has stolen and stashed away over the years. Paul Biya doesn't lack money. And first of all, Paul Biya doesn't need any campaigns to win an election. He doesn't need to campaign to win an election. That's why he has not been seen in public. The mere fact that Paul Biya is a candidate already means he has won. He doesn't need to campaign. He doesn't need to campaign. So I don't know why these people are even wasting their time saying they're raising money to support Paul Biya. By simply, if it's someone else declaring on his behalf, that's enough. That's all they need. That's all they need. It's someone else declaring that Paul Biya wants to be president. As long as his name is out there, as long as his so-called government has already accepted that he is a candidate, he's already a winner. I don't see anything else happening there I don't see anyone else that can beat Paul Biya at any so-called election. First of all, it's a selection, not an election. And the presentation I've put together for you today will open your eyes more to the prerequisites that ought to be in place in order for you to ensure that when people go out to vote, that their votes will actually count, or that the practice of democracy will actually result in the choices of the people, or the choice that the people will make to be selected as the leader, as intended. So we are going to look at that. We also have the video of the Boyo fighters who took it to a convoy of CPDM militants trespassing within Boyo, precisely around Fundom, and the fighters out there taught them a lesson. Some of them were being carried in those are the wounded being taken to the hospital. You can see them. And that is a message we ought to be sending to these people, fellow Ambazonians. That's a message we ought to be sending to them. They are being carried, and you can see the helicopter in the background. They are being carried out to the hospital, wherever that may be. But that is a message they should be receiving, and that should be the penalty that should be reserved for them wherever they are trespassing in Ambazonia, be it in the northern zone, the southern zone, wherever they are. This is the moment where all of our restoration fighters, all of them, this is the moment for you to have your eyes wide open, set your traps, wait for these people. When they come, you deal with them. You deal with them. Send them a message. It's not enough these days to go out and even make announcements that, oh, we don't want you to carry out any elections in our territory. We simply wait for you to come, and you send them a clear message. That messages like that go further than even any word of mouth announcements that are made. You send them a clear message that, look, these activities are not allowed within our territory when our people are being killed every day. You don't conduct elections in a war zone, fellow Brazilians. You do not conduct elections in a war zone. In order for elections to be conducted, the environment must be conducive to allow for people to freely go out and exercise their rights and to vote. So when you go out and you're trying to conduct elections in a war zone, you're asking for trouble, and you're asking for people to go out and risk their lives, which is exactly what that Cameroon is doing. This said now, and while we wait for Chairman Patrick to join us, I would like to have the PowerPoint presentation which I had prepared for you today. If the studio can put it on, maybe make a speed image of the PowerPoint while I go through the slides, for us to understand exactly what it means when we talk about elections. What should be in place first? As you can see here, prerequisites for genuine democratic elections. Next slide. Now you see what you see here are we call here modalities, right? Modalities. I think the slides. Can you move on again? The next slide. Okay, yeah. Election modalities. What are election modalities, fellow listeners? Election modalities are simply the rules that have to be put in place to ensure that the conduct of elections will be transparent and fair. For example, the candidates must all have a copy of them, or must all participate in formatting the modalities. Modalities are just like the rules of a game. When you are going into a field of play, you know what the rules are. You know that when you touch, for example, in a game of football, when you touch the ball within the 18-meter box with your hand, it is a penalty. Those are the rules of the game. You know that you are not supposed to cheat. If you do this, you are disqualified. Those are the modalities. Candidates must register by this date. The registration amount is this. Things like that guide the electoral process, modalities, the rules of the game. who is supposed to be in charge of organizing the elections, who is supposed to be in charge of counting the votes, how will the votes be tallied after the ballots are cast, who is supposed to tally the results, and how would these results now be compiled to give the final result, who is supposed to do the announcement of the results. All these are modalities or rules of the game that must be agreed upon by the contesting candidates. So that is one thing that must be in place. The rules of the game must be well established and agreed upon by the candidates before the elections take place. Now, but look at what is happening in La Republic of Cameroon. Paul Atanji will just come out one day and say, Camto, you are not qualified to be the candidate in this election any longer. And the rules just shift as the government in place wants. They can bar you from running, and they can allow another person who is even less qualified to run for the same election, while preventing somebody who is even more qualified, because the rules are just arbitrary. And you cannot even hold anybody to account. And those are some of the things that we'll be looking at again. As I would like for us to progress to the next slide. The next slide, please. The studio, I would like to see the next slide. After the modalities, okay. One other thing that is very essential to ensure that elections are free and fair is an independent judiciary. Why is an independent judiciary important? Because in an independent judiciary, it takes care of disputes that may emerge during the conduct of an election. And these are always things that happen. You see, dispute resolution, that has a significance of an independent judiciary. You have to check the misuse of power. Like in La Republic of Cameroon, like I've said, they are threatening some candidates with even imprisonment, which is wrong. The independent judiciary is there to make sure that they put a check on this abuse of executive power. You see, it protects and maintains the rule of law. No gendarme can simply arrest a candidate and beat you up, or police and beat you up without due cause. It cannot be the case. You see, these are things that an independent judiciary will handle. But when you have a judiciary, that is mostly appointed by one of the candidates, how then can you expect that judiciary to be independent enough to issue fair verdicts in the case of a dispute? You will not have that. You will not have it. The judiciary in La Republic of Cameroon is just a rubber stamp. Whatever they say is what Paul Biya wants them to say. If Paul Biya says this person has to go to jail, that person will go to jail. If Paul Biya says this person has to die, that person will die. The judiciary in La Republic of Cameroon is not independent, and therefore it is not a suitable environment for the practice of democracy. That's what we're saying. So that is one of the prerequisites for free and fair democratic elections, an independent judiciary. We don't have that in La Republic of Cameroon. Therefore, any talk of elections in that place is premature. Next slide. Let's see the next slide. Studio. The next slide. The next slide is a free press. Very important. A free press. The freedom of the press is a fundamental right that enables the media to effectively or to investigate, publish, and broadcast without censorship or fear of punishment from the government it is essential to democratic societies as it promotes transparency by the accountability of the reporting. You see, an independent or a free press is one that it is an environment where journalists or the media is allowed to cover stories as accurately as they occur and be able to make pronouncements without the fear of punishment or retribution from the government. But in La Republic of Cameroon, we know that that is not the case. We remember the case of Samuel Wazizi, who was arrested, tortured, and killed. And even to this day that we speak, we don't know, his body has never been handed over to the family. We know of the other case of their own brother there, Zoko, whatever his name was, who was also picked up, tortured, and murdered in cold blood. And a few criminals were picked up and they're pretending to lock them up. You cannot conduct elections in an environment where the press feels threatened. You see, those who threaten the press are those in power mostly. You have those in power, those in authority, the military, the gendarmes, maybe the judges, or media bosses, or trolls. These are all people that threaten the press. You see, the image you see here depicts press or those who are journalists and so on who look frightened. They are scared. And in such an environment, you cannot expect the information that is coming out to be accurate. Because before you are saying anything, you have to think about your freedom and your safety first, or what might happen to you if you should say the wrong thing. Therefore, in an environment where journalists feel threatened, not free to say what they ought to be saying, not free to cover the conduct of the elections as freely as possible, you therefore cannot talk about a free and fair election. And that is one of the prerequisites that must be in place for the practice of democracy. The next one is freedom of expression and association. You must be able to come out. If you are in favor of this candidate, you must be able to manifest your support for that candidate without fear of retribution. You see, you must be able to speak freely. If you have to criticize a candidate, you must not fear that somebody is going to harm you because you criticize that candidate. And you must be able to go out and meet, like a candidate is supposed to go out and meet his or her supporters, or supporters of a candidate are supposed to have the freedom to gather and mobilize each other and promote their candidate and support their candidate without fear of violence or retribution. We have seen cases where militants of certain political parties in La Republic of Cameroon will try to have access in some areas, and they will be blocked. They will be blocked from going there. We saw in the case of Kamto, whose supporters were chased out of the south. Even Joshua Osi was prevented from holding rallies in some areas. That is, you cannot conduct an election in such an environment where you are prevented from going out and meeting your supporters and spreading your message, or where certain media outlets are not accommodating of you sending out your own information or your own propaganda through those media outlets. So these things make it impossible for anyone to say that there are free and fair elections in a country where people feel threatened. You say certain things. Before you say certain things, you have to look around to see who is watching or who is around, who is listening. The absence of the freedom of speech make it impossible for anyone to conduct free and fair elections in La République du Cameroon. So that is one of the prerequisites. Yes, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next prerequisite. The next prerequisite for the effective practice of elections. Transparent a transparent electoral process. This is very important, comrades. This is very important because you cannot say that you are conducting elections when those in charge of those elections have openly manifested their support for one candidate, or those people were selected by one candidate. Look at the electoral process in La République du Cameroon. They are so-called electors. How are members of Elecam selected? Who selects members of Elecam? Those members are supposed to be independent. They are not supposed to be loyal to any candidate, but that is not the case. The government in place selects members of Elecam. How then do you expect these people to be fair enough to respect the choices of the voters when the results are coming in? Because they were chosen by one candidate, they will do everything possible to favor the candidate that gave them those positions. You see, the conduct of elections must be so transparent, as you see the transparent box there, not boxes that have been pre-filled with ballot papers belonging to one candidate. And even in some cases, there is intimidation where when they look at you and they see that you are loyal to maybe one candidate or the other, they prevent you from casting your vote. Or they make sure that the voter registers are purged of candidates that are of electors that favor a certain candidate. That is what is happening in La République du Cameroon. Some people go to the polls and their names are not found. Or just the establishment of identity cards, they are restricted so that people who are known to be sympathetic to the opposition are prevented from having even the identity cards to even take part in the electoral process. So there are a lot of things that are put in place to ensure, even before the votes are cast, to ensure that the person that is in place, like Mr. Paul Biya, who won election after election after election, even at the age of 92 now, he is still certain to win because the electoral process is not transparent. The people in charge, like Tanji Paul, they are the ones who will be dictating what happens. You heard him talking about each time that somebody tries to say anything, he would threaten them with whatever, Moulinex or something. That means he's threatening to grind you down. He's threatening to grind you down, which is exactly what is wrong with what is happening in La République du Cameroon. That's why I thought I should bring this presentation to you, fellow comrades, so that you understand the things that must be in place before any effective democratic elections are conducted. Like you see here, and look at this statement from Thomas Jefferson. The cornerstone of democracy rests on the foundation of an educated electorate. That's one other thing that we must also understand. Because you see a lot of people out there who are not enlightened enough. They go out and they simply give their votes away. They give their votes away. They give you bread and sardine, you give your vote away, and you suffer for the next 7 years. And you take bread and sardine, something that you eat, and the next morning you go to the toilet and pass it out. You give it away because people don't understand the value of their votes. They don't understand. The electorate is unenlightened. They give you beer and you drink and you go and vote for somebody. They give you salt or oil or whatever, chicken, whatever. Things that are so basic. Things that will not impact your life in any positive way going forward. you give away your vote for menial things because the people are not enlightened enough to understand the power of their vote, the power that they have with the vote that they can cast for the right candidate that can change their lives. They prefer to give it away to the corrupt politician who gives them some cheap things, and then they are surprised that after voting for that person, you have and taking the beer or the bread and sardine, whatever, you have already sold your vote. You have sold your vote already. You cannot now sit back and say, okay, but let the government do this. You already sold your vote, and for nothing. You gave it away for nothing. It's better for you to vote for the right candidate, even if you have to take nothing, knowing that if that person should make the right decisions, you will benefit in more significant ways than taking bread and sardine or beer or salt or whatever that may be. Or even sometimes they give you 2,000, 5,000. How would that change your life as compared to making sure that the roads are paved, there's steady electricity, there's good source of potable water, that your child can have a job, you yourself can have a job. Those are things that are more valuable than 1,000 or 2,000 or salt or beer or this or that. So when you have an ignorant electorate, it is very disastrous for the process of democracy. People make decisions without knowing the full impact of those decisions on their own very lives. And that is what La République du Cameroon, they are bent on keeping their electorate as illiterate as possible, as ignorant as possible, so that they continue to take them for granted. And they continue to give them, because you cannot imagine that people will go out and you see these bad roads, they are complaining of bad roads every day. If the government will not do anything for you if you don't compel them to do it. And the way you compel them is by your vote. When you make it clear to them that if you don't do the right thing, I'm not going to vote for you. But when you keep voting the same old and tired individuals year in, year out, they take your votes for granted. Why would they bother to give you anything when they know that they have your vote after all? Why would they do anything different? They will continue to give you the same thing because they know that when they come and deceive you with some salt or bread and sardine or beer, you will give them your vote yet again. And you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and not learning anything from it. That's why we in Ambazonia have said we will not allow this circulation to take place again within our territory. And I'm very happy that Boyo fighters are beginning to deliver that message, and we hope that others will follow it. One other thing that is very important is a conducive environment. When they say a conducive environment, that means the absence of war or the absence of violence or the absence of the potential for violence. When there is a potential for violence, when people feel like they can be hurt in a violent manner if they should go out to vote, or that they may be caught in a crossfire between warring factions in the conduct of in the performance of their civic rights by going out to vote, such an environment is not conducive for any democratic elections. Or when you are going out and you feel that if you should manifest your support for one candidate or the other, that somebody may be violent on you, that is not a conducive environment for elections. And these are things that we must take note of. So the sham that is happening in La République du Cameroon, we have seen people beaten, especially in the south and center, people chased away because they were manifesting their support for one candidate or the other. That cannot be a suitable environment for any elections, especially in the southern Cameroon, Tanzania, where there is a raging war, bullets flying every day. You don't know what can happen anytime. You cannot go into such an environment and then try to conduct an election. You can't go into such an environment and say you are conducting an election, because you know that the people do not have the freedom to openly come out and exercise their civic rights. It is impossible. So that is one of the prerequisites that must be in place in order for effective democratic elections to be possible. So let us move on from here. I think the message is very clear, fellow Ambassadors. The message is very clear here. You can see from the images the threat of violence on your right, and you can see war equipment and fighters exchanging gunfire right there, which is not what should be in place when you are talking about elections taking place in anywhere in the world. There must be a conducive environment for that to happen. Now, fellow comrades, I want you to take a look at these faces on your screen right now. Take a look at these faces on your screen. These are individuals who are supposed to be running for the office of president in La Republic of Cameroon. And amongst these faces, as unqualified as some of them may be, I think there's one of them that's the most unqualified. There's one of them that is the most unqualified, and I would like for you to, I'd like for you to just send a message. If you are watching, send a message. Let me know which one of these you think is the most unqualified. Personally, I think I know who that is. But one is the most unqualified, because in order to be a qualified candidate for an election, you must be mentally sound, you must be physically sound, you must be articulate enough to go out there and express yourself to those you are expecting to vote for you. But when you have a candidate who is completely absent, who has not been able to come out and manifest to the supposed electorate his intentions to run for that office and to explain why he wants to run for that office. And that is one other thing that is very, very, very concerning about the way La Republic of Cameroon it goes about the so-called elections. Because in an election, you are supposed to have the candidates come out on stage, like we have seen in other places, on stage, and exchange among themselves in a debate. Tell the electorate what you are planning to do differently, or what you are planning to do for them. How do you plan on leading them? What kind of leader are you supposed to be? What ideas are you planning to bring to the table that will make a difference in their lives? These candidates are supposed to come out on a stage, a debate stage, and exchange ideas. We have seen where during debates, some candidates that were previously not known, they come out and from their ideas, the way they express themselves and the ideas they present, giving the electorate a notion of where he or she intends to take the nation. Those people excel. But in La Republic of Cameroon, they talk about elections. You only hear that people are running for an election. You never see them exchanging ideas so the electorate can have the opportunity of making a decision one way or the other. It never happens. Why is it that in La Republic of Cameroon there are no debates amongst election candidates? Why is it that the debates are so frowned at? Is it because a certain individual is so unqualified that they don't want to see his flaws on stage, as we have seen in the past, where he will come out and will start passing out gas or looking visibly confused? Is that what they're hiding? If that is the case, then that disqualifies that person automatically. It disqualifies that person automatically. So, in the case of La Republic of Cameroon, it is very sad. It is very sad that people go out and that this is something which I really laugh at these people who call themselves opposition candidates. They make me laugh because they don't seem to be keen on even winning an election, because I don't see how you say you are a candidate, you're going out, you want to beat a supposed Mr. Paul Biya at an election, and then you allow the man to simply decide how everything is going to work out. You have not had a chance to say, okay, Mr. Paul Biya, if you really want to run again for election, let's go on stage. Let's go on stage and you defend first of all. You have 42 years record before asking for another 7 years. Let's go on a stage and you tell us what you have done for the past 42 years. And convince the people that what you have done has been right, and that's why you're asking them to vote for you again. But you simply are accepting that, oh, I'll go for an election, oh, October. And I'm asking myself, do these people even think? What is their path from their express candidacy to winning the election? I don't see the path for any of these people. Any of these people that were put on the screen here, I don't see the path to victory for any of them, because they don't control anything. They don't control anything. They don't know how anything is done. They cannot hold anybody to account. Recently, we saw how Kamto was dismissed. I think it's the president of the Constitutional Council or whatever. Somebody that was handpicked by Paul Biya. The president of the Constitutional Council was appointed by Paul Biya. Did you expect that guy to go against Paul Biya and rule against him? When Paul Biya says, no, you must disqualify Kamto, you think that guy is going to say, no, I won't disqualify him? But that will earn him a ticket to Kondingi. And that is what is so wrong. When I see people that are supposed to be reasonable, rational thinking people, educated people, some call themselves funds, carrying Paul Biya's placard and saying, oh, they want to support him to run for another term in office. The guy is already all tired and finished. The guy is, first of all, he's missing in action. The guy is missing. It is the only place on earth, it has never happened anywhere else, only in La Republic of Cameroon, that you have somebody running for the office of president, but nobody has seen him. Nobody has seen Paul Biya, but he's running to be president. It has never happened anywhere in the world. It is the first time it is happening. It is the first time. And I look at these people and I wonder what kind of Kool-Aid they've been given to drink. What hypnosis are they going? Are they suffering from? That you have a person that has not been seen for months, close to a year. Someone else posted on Facebook that Paul Biya wants to be the next president. It's not Paul Biya who put that thing there. It's not Paul Biya who put that thing there. He has not been seen in public. Nobody knows where he is. And yet, you see people tripping over each other, going to pledge their support for Mr. Paul Biya. And I'm wondering what exactly is going on here. Are people drunk? Is it the alcohol they drink so much, or what? So it is just so sad, fellow Ambassadors. That's why I thought I should bring to you some of these things that I know some of you know very well, but wait, it's just good to shine a light on what is happening in La Republic of Cameroon and to tell us, fellow Ambassadors, look, we cannot continue to allow ourselves to be dragged down. It is pathetic when you look at all of the messages coming, not from within La Republic, from Africa, the whole of Africa, and even the world. When you mention the name Cameroon, people just laugh at you these days. They laugh at you because they ask you, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people that you allow somebody who is this mentally finished Paul Biya is completely finished. He is finished mentally and physically, and yet he is running for president. Does it mean that you people are so stupid or you're so incompetent that there's nobody else that can take over from him or what? But for us Brazilians, we have long moved on. It is for a lot of people to Cameroon to now see what they can do to fix their own house. And we have seen that even amongst them, there are a lot of factions, even within the CPDM right now. There are factions within the CPM, the CPDM. Just wait for the day you hear that Paul Biya is no more. That's when our hair will break loose. The only thing is they are waiting to hear that Mr. Biya has kicked the bucket. Whether he's kicked the bucket already and they're hiding it, who knows? But the day you hear that he is no more, that's when you see chaos in our Republic. And that's what we're saying to us fellow Ambassadors. Let us come home, fortify our borders, and get ready to liberate ourselves from this mess. Because as long as we are hands to the waist with La Republic Cameroon, we will never know peace, we will never know progress, we will never know development. We will never know development, we will never know happiness. And that is a message I had for you with regards to that presentation, fellow comrades. I don't know if Chairman Patrick was able to join. I don't know if Chairman Patrick was able to join. Chairman Patrick, were you able to join so we can have a small exchange before ending the show? Is Chairman Patrick here? I know he indicated that he had some commitments that came in unexpectedly. Some commitments that came in unexpectedly. If not, I would just like to reiterate here, fellow comrades, that look, we should. This is the opportunity for us to come together. It's an opportunity for us to come together. We cannot allow that Republic to take this mess and rub it on us. And everywhere people go and you mention that you're from Cameroon, people just burst out laughing. I tell you, when you go anywhere out here, the diaspora here, and you tell someone I'm a Cameroonian, they just burst out laughing. They look at you like something is wrong with you. Why? Because of Paul Biya. Because of Paul Biya. Because of the quagmire that's happening in that country. So we cannot continue to suffer from the consequences of the incompetence and the sheepish nature of La Republic Cameroon citizens, who would rather sit there and drink beer and get drunk, even as their feet, even they are sitting next to a pile of trash and their feet are in sewage water. They think they are living a good life. That's not how we are. Ambassadors are not like that. We are organized people. We know how to put ourselves into communities. That's why we have credit unions. They don't have credit unions. That's how we have PTAs, that we can come together and build our schools. They don't have that. They don't know how to organize themselves and do anything. They don't know it. And we cannot continue to suffer. That's why when they came into the southern Cameroons, they saw marketing board, they saw everything that was going on, so organized, saw CDC and all that. They came in there and it was like you put a kid in a candy shop and they started squandering everything until they ruined our economy, ruined our businesses, and made us dependent on them when they are not even capable of producing anything. We cannot continue to suffer this. Of recent, they have successfully destroyed Sonara and transferred it to Kribi, despite the fact that their errand boy, John Gute, was saying, oh no, Sonara has not been transferred. But guess what? His son is working on the very project in Kribi to bring up the refinery in Kribi, but he is there telling lies that Sonara has not been transferred. Sonara has been transferred to Kribi. It is a fact. It is happening, even right now. So, fellow Ambassadors, the message again is avoid anything that has to do with La République organized elections in the southern Cameroon symposium. It has nothing for us. It has nothing to give us. Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. The stalemate is going to continue. The dilapidation will continue. Bad roads will continue. Lack of electricity, poor internet, unemployment, you name it, all of that will continue. So, fellow listeners, I want to give you a clear picture of the country that is called La République du Cameroon. So, I say welcome to the country called La République du Cameroon. It's a country where the unimaginable things happen. That is the country called La République du Cameroon. It is a country where criminals are in charge, while the righteous are punished and are thrown in jail, languishing in jail, and some even killed. That is a country called La République du Cameroon. You see, it is a country where mediocrity is rewarded, while excellence is persecuted. That is a country called La République du Cameroon. It's a country where mediocrity is rewarded while excellence is persecuted. It is a country where corruption is praised while the virtuous and righteous are ridiculed. When they see you doing the right thing, not willing to accept bribes, they laugh at you. But if you're a corrupt individual, they say that you are a smart guy. It is encouraged. La République du Cameroon is a country where projects are executed on paper only. Oh, yeah. That is Brenda Beer there.
Jaloux de ta liberté.
That is Brenda Beer.
Comme un soleil,
Look at that.
ton drapeau, fier doit être.
The question you must ask yourself is, what does she do for a living to be able to afford the standard of living that she has?
Un symbole
She's
à
living
don
abroad.
de foi et d'unité.
She's living abroad. Where does she get the money to be investing on expensive alcohol and drugs? Where does she get the money? Why our people are there languishing in misery? Yeah, that's Mr. Bia's daughter right there. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's a country where projects are executed on paper only, and nobody sees anything wrong with it. You see, that's a country called La République du Cameroon. That's Brenda Beer. A country where holding a bottle of beer is tantamount to living a good life, even if the person is sitting on a pile of trash with his or her feet sitting in sewage water. That is a country called La République du Cameroon. Yeah, it's a country where their leader could be absent for months and even up to a year, and life goes on as if nothing is wrong. They don't see anything wrong with that. That is a country called La République du Cameroon. Yeah, Brenda Beer, you are squandering, and most of the money that she's squandering there comes from the southern Cameroons, for that matter. That's our money. It is money that comes from the southern Cameroons that the father is sending to her to squander. And yet, idiots will go up and gather their meager resources and say they are giving 250 million to Paul Biya to support his candidacy. You don't think that Paul Biya has enough money to finance a campaign if he wanted to? Is he even aware that he is running for any elections? La République du Cameroon is a country whose roads have become torture chambers and killing fields where people go to be punished or to be killed. That is what the roads in La République have become. I saw another video today of a young man who was so frustrated because they were almost crushed to death by one of these huge, so-called camions, who missed crushing a bus full of passengers. And they managed to miss it. And he survived, and he was so outraged and expressing his anger on a video. You see, La République du Cameroon is a country where dictatorship is misinterpreted for democracy. They see dictatorship as democracy because they don't know the difference. La Republic of Cameroon is a country where occultism is practiced like a religion at the highest level of their government. That is the country called La Republic of Cameroon. Can you imagine that this is Brenda Bia? You see how big she has become? She's almost obese. Why wouldn't she be? Look at her. La Republic is a country where Feymanism is admired and praised, while academic excellence is despised. When you are a Fey man, they look at you like you are a great man. But excel in academics and nobody values you. That's a country called La Republic of Cameroon. A country where all infrastructure, like roads and schools and hospitals, are dilapidated. And no one seems to care. Nobody seems to care. Everybody's just trying to survive. Nobody cares. It's not a problem to them. A country that bears the scars of 42 years of dictatorship, corruption, mismanagement, looting, willful incompetence, and economic strangulation from the hands of poor bear. And yet, there are idiots out there manifesting their support for yet another 7 more years of torture and the same suffering, as if they have not witnessed what has happened over the years. Welcome to La Republique, the Sodom of our time. La Republique can be called the Sodom of our time, as in the Bible. It is pitiful that people actually live in that place, but we have our relatives there. We have our people there. What can we do? We have to fight to make sure that the situation is reversed, that we extricate ourselves from this mess. It is untenable, and we cannot continue to survive under such conditions. So that is Mr. Paul Bia's daughter, the person others some are trying to. They're running around saying they're campaigning for to be their next president again. But my challenge is, it is their right, but could you at least get your candidate to present himself, to come out and present himself to those who are supposed to vote for him and tell them what he plans to do differently from what he's done for the past 42 years? Can he do that? Can Mr. Paul Bia come forward and show himself and tell the electorate what he plans to do differently? If he can do that, then at least that will give people a reason. Maybe he can convince them. But for you to be completely absent, and yet people are out there pretending to canvass for votes for Mr. Paul Bia, it is an insult to the intelligence of the electorate of that country. It is an insult. That means they are looking at you as if you are fools, that you cannot reason. And anyone who goes out there to support such nonsense must be ashamed of themselves. Fellow Ambazonians, that is the message I have for you today. I will be back again next week. And this is the Republic of Cameroon unit in Fundong today, and they went out there to trespass. They went out to trespass, and our fighters taught them a lesson. Our fighters taught them a lesson in Fundong today, and that is what they deserve. That is exactly what they deserve. So our restoration fighters, wherever you may be, that should be your mission now. Be on the lookout for these hypocrites and deal with them accordingly. That is what they deserve. Deal with them accordingly. You cannot have Brenda Bia out there squandering our resources, stealing money, and Bia is stealing all of our money and sending to them. Chantal Bia is there doing whatever. Bongo is there doing whatever. and then you have the audacity to come to us or to come to our people during a so-called election. I try to treat them as if they are idiots. We must not continue to allow this any further. So, fellow Ambazonians, that's all I have for you today. It was a pleasure having you. I'll be back again next week. Hopefully, my panel will be more liberated to join me. But I hope you enjoyed that PowerPoint presentation and understand that those are the things that we will make sure are in place in Ambazonia before we can conduct any elections. Because elections, the elections are supposed to stand on some legs. And when those legs are not there, then elections simply roll on the ground, and that's not fair. It's not free and fair. You cannot have an election where the referee and the linesman and other officials belong to one team, and then others are just there to escort the team to victory. No. Pobia cannot appoint all the officials in charge of elections, and then somebody who has a brain will accept to go into a field of play with that person, with such a candidate. It is you are simply escorting that person to victory, and that is not fair. So thank you again. It was a pleasure having you. I see you next week. Take good care of yourselves, and as you do that, you take care of each other. Good night.